controversy when she competed on the X Factor back in 2010, but now she's 20 years old and she's a married woman. She's back with a new album, which she says is much more personal and emotional than the out-and-out pop of her debut, which was, of course, Swagger Jagger. And whether she's pop or not, when she came in to speak to us yesterday, there was a crowd of fans waiting for her outside.
I don't think I'll ever really be used to it. You know, it's always quite a shock. I'm a bit of a daydreamer, you know, so sometimes I'm sort of just daydreaming and then I realise that there's people that, you know, would like something from me. So, yeah, sometimes it can be a little bit strange for me.
What about your career? Because you're in a rather unusual position, aren't you? Your career is very American-based. You've done very, very well in America, which is the country that most British artists want to crack, and yet it's perhaps less so in this country. Would that be fair?
Yeah, that's fair, yeah. I mean, I went over to the States thinking that I was going to be there for 2 weeks, but then they kept me there.
How long were you there for?
Ever since, really. So it's been about 2 years.
So do people think you've moved over there? Some people that you live there?
Yeah, some people think that I've moved over there, but in reality I don't live anywhere. I live out of 11 suitcases. I've got a storage container that holds the rest of my belongings, and I just move around hotels.
How does that feel?
It's fun. I mean, to be 20 years old, traveling the world and living in and out of hotels, that's pretty cool.
And what about your new husband? How does he take to that?
Oh, he loves it. He loves it because, you know, once again, who gets to do that? So it's a big opportunity for him as well, and we just have fun with it. You know, the minute that it stops being fun for me is the minute that I'm done.
You are still so young. You're just 20, aren't you?
Yeah.
You were only 16 when we saw you on X Factor. I mean, so very, very young. And so you seem to be doing everything quite early on.
Yeah.
Have you had to grow up quickly?
Yeah, I've had to grow up really quickly. But I think, you know, regardless of the show, I think that's what was maybe going to happen to me anyway. I think everyone's really got their own way of growing. And I don't think there's ever a right time for anything. And I am very much a planner. I like to plan ahead, but I also realise that not everything goes to plan. So sometimes my plans just go down the toilet, but I like to, you know, sort of plan how I would like my life to be.
So what plans have you got?
I've got plans to continue to do what I do for as many years as I possibly can, and then hopefully one day settle down. And I feel like, you know, that's many people's plan. But I'd definitely like to do that.
Why did you decide to get married? You only got married last year, didn't you? End of last
November,
year.
yeah. I decided to get married because I know that I'm going to be with him for the rest of my life, so why not do it? And I think marriage is something that, you know, for my family has always been a very young thing as well. It wasn't, I don't feel that it was one big mad rush. You know, we'd been engaged for 2 years and yeah, we had lived together, so just felt right, and we're really happy.
So you'd been together for 2 years. I mean, unlike your one-time mentor, Cheryl Cole, who apparently, according to the press, knew somebody for 3 months and then got married. What do you think about that? Now, you had a bit of a falling out with her, didn't you?
I did. I mean, that was a long, long time ago. But, I mean, you know, I've seen a lot of things on Twitter saying, you know, it's too quick, it's too this, it's too that. At the end of the day, you can't put a time on anything.
Are you friends with her again yet?
We have like exchanged messages on Twitter and stuff like that, but I haven't seen her since. But I think it's good that she's got married. Finally, she can have some happiness and, you know, perhaps settle down.
There we go, Cher Lloyd, only 20, but giving us some words of wisdom, according to the 20-year-old Cher, although I have to say she's had quite a life so far. As you know, 2010, X Factor, and now 4 years later, married woman, and she's cracked America. More from her on the way. By the way, tweeted a photo. I already said she looks like a perfect little doll, and I look like her grandma, actually, standing next to her. But then I am probably old enough to be her grandma. She was 60 when we saw her on X Factor. She's now a married woman of 20. She's got a new album out called Sorry I'm Late. You're going to hear the single, her new single called Sirens, in just a few minutes' time. I spoke to her yesterday, and she said she's not afraid to take on new projects and share a bit of her own life through work?
The video is very intense. It's a true story. I wrote the treatment for it, and that's the first time that I'd not gone to a video director and just asked them what they wanted to do. It took me a while, but
so what's the story?
The story is it's about being in a family environment, basically girlfriend, boyfriend with a child, and then the man getting busted for doing something really bad and then being taken away, and then seeing how distraught the woman is being left to sort of bring up the child on her own.
And so this is autobiographical, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is what happened to you when
this is a very, very true story. So for me, it was it's a very fine line, I feel, when you decide to do something very artsy, and it's a fine line. You don't want to cross it to a point where, you know, you feel like the whole world knows what happened in your childhood, because I don't think I'm really that type of person to share absolutely everything. I say it's a true story. It is. I mean, you were
the child.
Yeah.
And it was your father.
Yeah.
Who went away.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, you know, that was a very, very long time ago.
Except that you would know that, and especially because the video is so powerful, and there are tears there, real tears.
Yeah.
You would know then that the press will pick up on that.
Oh, most definitely. But that's not to say that I'm going to go into detail about what my dad got done for, how it really made me feel. You know, I think for that particular song, I wanted to be able to do a video that had some sort of meaning to it. I didn't really want to dance around. You know, I didn't really want to get all glammed up and do a dance routine to a song like that, you know.
Well, but you like doing that.
I love doing that.
We know you for that, really.
But I mean,
this is very different, actually.
It's very, very different. And I feel like, you know, this new album is completely different to my old stuff. I mean, if you compare Sirens to Swagger Jagger, you can't get much different. And I think, you know, this is just how I feel right now, what I'm going to do right now. And that's not to say that I'm not going to go back to dance routines and heavy makeup.
And when you make a decision, Cher,
yeah,
is that it then?
Oh, yeah, I stick to it. I won't let anyone tell me any different. I think I'm very stubborn like that. You know, I will listen to people's opinions, you know, especially people that have worked in the industry for a much longer time than me. But there comes a point where you say, you know what, just take the risk. And if you mess up, you mess up. You know, got no one else to blame but yourself.
It's interesting, you just talked about your father, and I just noticed the tattoo on your hand, which is Daddy.
Yeah. I've had that for a little while now.
Why that?
Just because I've always had a very strong bond with my dad. He's not very well at the moment, which is, you know, something that I've never really had to go through before. Feels a bit odd to have to see, you know, someone not very well. Because you almost feel like your mum and dad are going to be perfect forever and they're just going to stay like that. But unfortunately they don't. They get a little older and they get sick. But I've always been very close to my dad. Same with my mum as well. But I mean, I'm a daddy's girl.
How often do you get to see them now with this life?
It's really difficult to see them. And, you know, I do have periods of time where I think, you know, I wish that, you know, I could still do it and still see them all the time, but in reality you can't do that. And it'd be exactly the same if I decided to go to uni, if you know what I mean. You know, it'd be the same. So it's not that much different, but I manage to go and see them as much as I can when I'm in the UK.
Well, are you staying in the UK now?
Yeah, for the next couple of weeks, and then I'll be off again. I don't know where, I don't know when. That's just how life is.
I bet it's good, though, to have a companion with you.
Oh, I don't think I'd be able to do it. I really don't think I would have been able to, you know, do it this well either. Because I had to make many changes. And to be quite honest, I think Craig was the person to really give me the kick up the butt. He really was. You know, he would catch me saying particular things and you know, not necessarily looking happy, and he'd remind me, say, well, what have you got to not be happy about, you know? So he was really the one to kick me into shape.
Well, it's lovely to see you, Cher. Good luck. You need to go outside now and meet and greet all your fans who have stood there actually for hours waiting for you. Good luck with the single Sirens and the album as well.
Thank you very much.